Hello everybody. Guess you're wondering what is happening here today. We're doing a couple of things. It's a DIY project. We're installing some overhead garage lights. But first I wanted to bring some attention to this good purchase that we got. This is actually something I needed for the kitchen, but I wasn't able to coordinate with the seller. But this was a marketplace purchase, and I think we gave $25 for this. And what it is it's a corded Black & Decker, so it's not a high-end thing, but it's not something I would use that often. But it's multi-purpose. It can be a sawzall, or you can flip the blade under, and it also becomes a jigsaw. So you can put jigsaw blades on it, you can put sawzall blades on it. And I thought for $25, that's a pretty versatile tool. And it was brand new. I mean, it had been taped up, but I think the guy only opened the box and never used it. When we met with the guy, we do have an inverter in the Jeep, and we had the Jeep with us. So I was able to plug it in and run it, and it runs. It works fine. It looks brand new. It looks like it's never seen wood. But yeah, this blade would tilt, and this comes down and around, and it becomes a jigsaw, and you can cut like this. It's pretty neat. I thought it would be very handy for cutting small things, because I had to use my I had to cut those counters when I installed that stove, and I had to use a handsaw. But it's all I had. Sometimes you got to make do. And it had the instruction manual and a couple of jigsaw blades in there with it. But I just wanted to show that purchase that we got.
Do you have any projects in mind for that?
Well, the stove was one, but I figured anytime.
Well, I meant new ones.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But I'm sure there might be one on your list.
Not on mine.
So here's another purchase we did. This was also a marketplace purchase. And once again, what I like about marketplace is I've always had good luck with them. You can get some good prices, but you also don't pay sales tax. And sales tax here in Tennessee is like 9.25%, so that's pretty significant. These are overhead lights. They're super bright. I think they're like 30,000 lumens. I can't remember what it was. And that's a whole bunch of lumens, by the way. So it came in a 2-pack for $40. And what I kind of liked about it is you had some versatility here. It's got a long cord. It also has the switch on the cord, which you can use this switch, or, it depends on where you're mounting it. It came with different types of mounting hardware. You can suspend it from the ceiling with a chain where it can move around, or it's got stationary brackets that you can attach. You could leave the switch on and then put in another switch. Like if you wanted one down on the wall, you could wire a switch to that and then plug it in and leave the switch on, basically bypassing the turn-off switch. And then it would just come on with a lighted switch on the wall. So there's different ways you could set this up. Another thing that I like about them is that they're linkable. You see right here, it comes in a 2-pack, and you can link them together. So if you look right above your head up and over to your right shoulder there, you can see where I've already installed one of them. Right there. And they're pretty bright, and I'll show you that near the end. We'll light them up. But I'm going to rag on the engineers here again, because I don't think they think things through. Everybody's like, oh, he's so hard on the engineers. Engineers have a degree, okay? They studied at least 4 years for a degree that says you're an engineer. That means you're supposed to be the all-know, end-all of every item that you design. You're supposed to know, and we're supposed to bless it because you signed off on it and got a degree. So if that's the case, I'm expecting near perfection when it comes to engineering products. This is linkable, right? Follow my common sense logic here. It's corded on this end. So this is probably going to go to a plug. Okay? Let's say this is light number 1. We're going to set it over here. Over here is light number 2. It has a cord. And if you're going to link them, that cord is going to plug into this one. You following me? So the cord is going to be coming from this direction. So when this cord comes in this direction, it should plug in this way, right? Nope. Engineering fail. Look how they headed it. It has to be turned this way to plug in. Now how nice is this cord now that it has to be pulled around like this? That doesn't seem like a hard concept, does it? All it is these engineers are doing this in a drafting lab or draft table or at their desk, and they don't field test these products. They don't think about the angle of the plug and the plug head. I mean, they designed the plug head, right? They designed it, and they wanted it to come in and be flush mounted, but they turned the head of the plug the wrong way.
Wah, wah, wah.
Help me understand, 4-year degree engineer. This wouldn't have taken long to get one out of a box, plug one in, and go, hey, these are linkable. Let's see how this is going to work. Oh, oops. I mean, I did it. They could do it, right? Anyway, I digress. I'm on my soapbox again with these engineers that don't field test products before they put them out. I get upset about that because you pay good money, and I would like this to come right in like this and link like this, but it's not. It's going to look catawampus. It's going to have to go like this and be pulled around like that. It just looks stupid. They could have. This was an easy fix. Like, it probably just pulls out, turns, and goes right back. It's just dumb.
Maybe they got their degree from the Cracker Jack box.
Dude, I don't know, man. I expect more. I mean, if it's a grant, state taxpayers paid for the grant through the college or the university that engineer decided to go to, wherever and whoever that is. And so essentially the taxpayers are paying for this product, in a sense, the design of this product. They paid for his education, and this is the education we get as a result. Just don't get it. Anyway, I'm trying to digress here, but it's really frustrating to come across products.
So you're saying that they're just buying a fancy piece of paper, but didn't really get any education in the process?
Was it a party school, or was it a indoctrination school, or was it actually a functioning school that teaches something? We don't know. We don't know who this,
I think the world should give more credit to people who have life experience doing things, because sometimes people don't have degrees, but they are pretty genius in the things they're doing, and they don't get the same creds because they don't have that fancy piece of paper.
Just saying. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think street knowledge and practical experience weighs heavier than a degree. Now, there are some not, but we're talking about engineers here. And not all engineers, so don't take offense.
Yeah, trust me, I want my doctor to have gone to some kind of school.
Correct. But you also want them to have had experience that shows a product with the results you're looking for. Not just a theory on paper in a box somewhere. You want actual results. So anyway, we're going to go through the installation process. So this is a DIY. We're going to install this, and I'll show you the bracketry. I've got all my tools already set up. I wanted to do one myself because I wanted to see what I was going to do. Because first I hung it on chains, and I was going to run it to the wall. I wanted to see how long the cords were from the plugs, and I didn't like any of that, so I resulted back to the frame mounting. And so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be putting up the frame mounts that came with this. They gave you both options. They gave you the chain hanging ones or the other ones. So I'm going to do the other ones because I like the firm attachment to the frame instead of swinging like this.
So this will be another DIY brought to you by
Yours
Brett's
truly.
Facebook Marketplace addiction.
There you go. Okay, we're back at you. So the first thing I had to do was, let me show you these brackets real quick. So here's what they look like. So they come with screws for the base, so you mount them like that. And then they come with these little finger nuts that you turn by hand and lock them in. So the first thing you have to figure out is how far apart do you want them to be? Well, they have to be the width of the hang point. So I'm able to use the kayak hanging up here as a table. That's kind of convenient. So I take this and my handy dandy, just had it here, what happened to it? My tape measure. And they screw right into that. They screw right into here. And this is flush with the front. So all I have to do, if you see, it's direct, exactly flush with the front. So I just flipped this over and got a measurement across the top. And it's exactly 15 inches. And so once you get that measurement, that's the distance that you want your brackets to be. So 15 inches is what we're looking for. I'm going to angle you up and turn you over just a little here. You should be able to see it from there. So I'm going to be mounting it here. 15 inches is right about there. You kind of want it centered. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so my first hang point, I'm marking with my thumb here. And then I'm just going to be drilling. I'll move the camera up some more so you can see where I'm drilling right here where my thumb is. That's kind of my rough mark. So I take my bracket, and I want my brackets faced inward so it's a clean finish on the outside. So then I just hold it right here and I center it on the board. And then I take my drill and go ahead and drill one of the holes. What I do is just a little starter hole so I don't have to hold this plate the whole time. Be careful with your fingers not getting them in the way. So once I do the starter hole, I know exactly where to drill now. I'm going to step up one more step. You might see my ugly mug in the picture, but I want to use this board to kind of brace myself with because I got to push against it. So I'll go ahead and drill these through. Okay, that's all you need for the one side. And I have my drill bit on the other drill, so I'm running 2 drills today. I go ahead and I preload the screw into the bracket. Put the bit in there. And you want to make sure to push good and firm. Pretty hard and firm, just get it started. And then I can kind of hold it with my hand, my thumb and hand, and then push it up and run it in. Woo! That was actually too big a hole. Well, that's weird because the other one worked just fine. Huh. I'll be right back. I gotta check what happened. See if I got the right screws here. Why are they a different size and why is my bit too big on this side but not the other side? Okay, well, I compared the screws. There's only 8 screws, and the 4 screws for this light are actually a smaller diameter than the screws were for the other light. They did come in separate packets. So, made in China, you gotta love it. They sent actually different size screws, and I don't think that was intentional. I think it's just inattention to detail. So what we're gonna have to do is re-drill some holes. So I got a smaller bit. And we're going to put them in about the same area. We'll just move it over a little bit. We'll put the other holes to the inside so you can't see them from the outside. And we'll do just as we did before. I'll pre-drill. Get this thing centered where I want it, and then I'll do the pre-drills. Okay. Okay, we'll try this again here. I need to back it out just a little bit. Here we go. I'm gonna have to come back and tighten it. I had to back it out just a little bit to get the other hole to line up. These are slotted, so there's a little bit of wiggle room on the spacing. And go back and tighten the other one. There we go. All right, good to go. And then we do the same thing on the other side. Get the drill. And here, I gotta be pretty precise with the measuring of this one. Remember that 15 inches? It's 15 inches to the outside of the bracket. That's 15 right there, exactly. So then I hold the bracket there and center it, and then do my 2 pilot holes. Let me move the camera over a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Hot at night, even though it get down to 70, it'd be like 90% humidity, and that's Florida hot. That's nasty. So today's about 80, 81, but it's humid. Like, it's sticky, really sticky. Okay, well, I need to run down and get the little thumb screws. Okay, I'm back up. Here's the little screws that come with it. That's a little butterfly screw, a thumb screw I call it. So these are just going to go in the end, and they screw right into the light. So now when I'm lifting this light up, we want to think, not like the engineers, we're going to think here with our brains. Take the cord and run it toward the other light, because I do want to link them, because that saves plugs. I could run it this way and run it to a plug that's over here, but I don't want to fill up all my plugs with these lights. If these lights are linkable, I'd rather link them. And plus, I'll show you what I've done with the linking portion at the end of the video when we test this. Of course, we don't want to mount it upside down, do we? We want the cord running toward the other light. And then this one's actually easier to do than the other one. I have a ladder on top of this pontoon boat, but we have it torn apart because we're putting on a new floor on the deck. And I'm waiting on a torch kit to come in the mail so that we can finish that. We haven't finished it yet. We're at a holding pattern because I want to get a propane torch kit, because I want to burn some of the fibers off of the deck from the carpet. We got most of it off, but not all of it off, and I'd like to clean it up a little bit. And with a torch kit, I can do that pretty easily. All right, I'm trying to figure out here. Let's turn the camera a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm trying to line up the bracket there. I can't quite see the hole. I gotta come up a little more. Ooh. Okay, that should be it. So being able to use the pontoon boat and putting this, I think this is a 12-foot step ladder on the pontoon decking, it puts me up in the rafters where I need to be, and otherwise I'd be like freestanding with nothing to hold on to. So the boat does come in handy. Okay, right here. Now I'm going to take this cord and just run it over the rafters I've got some little staples, insulated staples I can use so I can tack this cord onto the top of this 2x4 and you don't see the cord from the ground. I don't think it's going to reach the other light. I think I'm going to have to buy an extension cord, but at least I'll know exactly what size extension cord to get. Yeah, it didn't make it over there, but so that's the light. That's what it'll look like. Now I'll go down and we'll give it a test. I gotta plug it in first. Okay, I've got the lights installed. You can see one back here and then one here. Now I did have to readjust that light and bring it in closer because I wanted the cord to be able to link to this one, because I didn't want to have to buy an extra extension cord for what ended up being about a foot short of plugging into it. And so I just moved the lights over, or moved the one light in a little bit. But I wanted to close the garage door because I wanted you to see what I did here. So I still need to get an extension cord, but I need to measure it first because it needs to come across here and then come down. And I want it to plug right into where this orange cord's plugged in, because the other two lights that were already in the garage, they worked on this remote control. This remote control works this device here. So I don't really like this idea. I would rather, and then this just hangs on the wall over here. What I'd rather do is install a switch over here by the wall and turn the lights on with the switch. Then you don't have to worry about this battery, because I've had to replace this battery already once before. And the off button doesn't seem to work very well. You got to keep playing with it to get it to work. So I really don't like this idea. But I'm going to use it for now because what it does, until I do a light switch install, then I could bypass this whole thing and then just plug right into it. I've already got 4 plugs right here. It wouldn't be much to come off of those and pigtail another circuit just for these lights, because I would only need 2 plugs. So the lights that are already in the garage are wired, you can see wire nutted, right to this remote switch. So I'm using an extension cord here. Right now it's just on the ground, but it's way too long. I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to get one that's sized. So I'll unplug this and run this wire as far as I could, and then I'll get a measurement and I'll order an extension cord that comes right to this area, the exact length, so you don't have a whole bunch of cord hanging around. But what I'm going to do here is test it. I've got all 4 lights now linked to this one box. And so now here's the lights. There's the 2 over there. I don't really like the placement of those lights. The one over there is okay. The one here is too close to the front, and then when the door is even up a little bit, it blocks it. So I'd rather move this light back behind the rails or on the other side of the rail so that you get some light, and when the door is up, you don't block it. Now, most of the time, you don't need the light when the door is up. That's true. So I'm still double thinking this because it would have to be reframed. I can see how they have it framed in there. It's a bigger light. I think it's a 2x2 square flat panel light, but they don't make that exact kind anymore because I was trying to match them. But got a good deal on these lights. It puts out, and I think it puts out more light actually. So it lights up the space. Here, I'll turn them off. It worked that time, and then back on. So at least I got light in the garage. They're easy to install, and they're very easy to move around. Like I could mobilize them and move them if I want to. So that's the good thing about this. But I just have the switches turned on, leave them on, and I'm running it to this like a remote control box. So you turn it off and it cuts off. So this switch operates that box. So that seems to work pretty well. At least for now, until I come up with something better. I really would rather have a hard switch put in instead of a battery remote control. But that's a more minor deal. So I'll show you what I mean by the light being blocked. So here's the light, right? And so when I raise the door, so even if the door is up that much, which isn't very high, right? It blocks that light. So I don't think that was a good design, whoever decided to put that light there so the door when it's up blocks it. But it is what it is for right now. I didn't want these lights to be blocked by it because this side of the garage actually is more used, and I need more light on this side mostly because there's more stuff on this side. More stuff going on. But I got some lights up, and I'm glad because it's been dark in here and I've had to use the flashlight a number of times. And so those lights will also come in handy so we can finish doing this boat deck. We're replacing the panel. This will be the new flooring. And this is the plywood here. And you can see it still has these little fur balls. So we're waiting, these carpet balls, so I'm waiting for a propane torch to come in the mail so I can, and we'll lift this up, roll it up. It's kind of positioned. I could go ahead and cut it to size. It's pretty close. It's got about a foot hanging on that side, and then the two end pieces are about an inch off on each end. And I've already got it cut around the wires that come up through the floor for the console. So it's already kind of in position. There does have to be some special cuts. I got a cut here for a seat and then another one here for a seat. I got a couple of spots, about 4 or 5 spots actually, where wires poke up through. But that's after once we burn this off, and then we have some glue that we're going to put on the bottom of this. You just brush it on or roll it on, and then we'll lay it back out. And then we'll have to put all the furniture back on. That'll be fun, lining up the new holes for the screws. Not looking forward to that. But man, probably saved $3,000 to $5,000 redecking this boat myself versus taking it somewhere, and who knows when they would get to it and how much they would charge. So anyway, I'm happy with the lights. I think it was a good install, and $40 was a good purchase. I got 2 lights. They're bright. And now we can get some work done. Yoo-hoo! Another DIY here at the cabin. See you next time.